Welcome to another episode. I am James Swanwick, and have you ever had unprocessed grief that has shown up in stress, anxiety, drinking to numb the pain? Have you been able to process your grief and cry? Maybe it's from the loss of a loved one. Maybe it's some other traumatic life experience that has occurred. A lot of people in the world try to handle grief by drinking alcohol, avoiding the grief, pushing it away, numbing the pain. And that was certainly the case for our guest today, Janine Martinez, who is a 54-year-old financial analyst at Yale University. She lives in North Haven, Connecticut, and as we recorded this upcoming conversation, she was 90 days alcohol-free and feeling pretty damn terrific, she says. But if you were stuck at home during COVID-19 and you could no longer go into an office, what impact did that have on your life? For Janine, she felt isolated, alone, she felt sad, and as she'll share in this upcoming interview, her drinking increased as a way for her to deal with that grief, to deal with that isolation. In fact, Janine got up to a bottle of red wine a night during these lockdowns. She was trying to process the grief from her mother's passing 4 years earlier. It all came up for her during lockdowns. And one of the ways that she tried to handle it was by drinking alcohol. And it sadly had a damaging effect on her. A lot of stress, a lot of sadness, a lot of discomfort. So we're going to hear her share her story in just a moment. The great news is that Janine has gone 90 days alcohol-free, and during that time, things have turned around. Really exciting benefits that she's generated, including clear focus, no more headaches, clearer skin. You'll hear what her hairstylist told her about her hair. I won't give it away, but during these 90 days alcohol-free, Janine went to a hairstylist, and her hairstylist commented on something that she noticed about her hair. So stand by for that one. And also, Janine has an amazing tip, an amazing hack, if you like, for reducing and almost eliminating her alcohol cravings. And it has to do with lawnmower gasoline. I won't reveal what she did. I'll let Janine reveal it. But Janine used lawnmower gasoline to reduce and eliminate her cravings. Pretty amazing. Pretty incredible. Just a reminder that if you would like to join us in our Project 90 experience, which Janine herself went through, then you can schedule to have a 15-minute exploratory conversation with our Project 90 top coach, Victoria English. You can do that by going to alcoholfreelifestyle.com/schedule, and you can have that 15-minute chat with Victoria. There's nothing to buy or enroll in on that particular call. It's just an introductory exploratory conversation. If you would like to join us in Project 90 thereafter, then we can schedule another time and we can get into a little bit more detail about that. But if you'd like to just have a quick 15-minute chat with our top coach, Victoria, you can go to alcoholfreelifestyle.com/schedule. It is for high performers. What do I mean by high performer? Well, a high performer is maybe a 6 or 7 figure earner, could be a real estate investor or a business owner, entrepreneur, could be someone who's, in a mid-level management position in a company, might be an executive, could be a doctor or a professor. Look, if you're in full-time employment and you value high performance and you want to do better in your profession, then you're a high performer. If you're striving for excellence and you know that alcohol is getting in the way at the moment and you're willing to do something about it, then you're a high performer. And if you are willing to quit alcohol for at least 90 days with the intention of quitting alcohol long term, or at least getting power over alcohol long term, because that can mean moderation at times after you've gone 90 days alcohol free. It can mean having a drink on occasion if you choose. But the bottom line is our Project 90 experience helps people to generate long-term power over alcohol. Alcohol no longer has power over you. If you are willing and ready to do that, then, like I said, I invite you to have that conversation with Coach Victoria, have a 15-minute chat and see whether it could be for you. All right. So Janine Martinez, like I said, she's a financial analyst at Yale University. She's been there 26 years. She supports sponsored research there. She works with scientists and manages their grant portfolio, ensures that they're compliant, really manages the funds according to the sponsors and the guidelines. Was working in the office for 26 years. All of a sudden, COVID hit, found herself at home, found herself drinking more, found herself experiencing grief from her mother's passing. Let's hear her story. Here she is, Janine Martinez. So you went from traveling to an office almost every day to working from home when COVID-19 hit. Is that correct, Janine? Tell me a little bit about that.
That's correct, James. I've always been working from an office. I've been working for about 40 years. And in March 2020, we were sent home one weekend. And so I've been working from home since March 2020.
And what was the impact that working from home had on you now that you look back in hindsight?
It became very stressful. First, I wasn't really prepared. I didn't have an office at home. It took some adjustment. And then I was missing my colleagues. I was missing the environment, and then the isolation we were in. And we thought it was only going to last maybe a month. And then here it is almost 2 years later, and we're still working from home. And so it lasted too long, and I became the happy hours were just starting to. They were no longer Fridays. They started on Thursdays, and then Wednesdays, and then Tuesdays. And so slowly, it was increasing. And I noticed that I was depending on this substance a lot more than I had been used to.
And what was the at-home happy hour for Janine usually entailing? Like, what were you drinking and how much?
Well, my choice of alcohol was always wine. And so it's a glass.
Red wine or white wine, Janine?
Red wine. And then it was a glass. Then it would increase to 2 glasses. I never really drank to get drunk because I have family around. I have nieces around. And so I'm always careful being an example. And that was never my intention anyway. But I noticed that it increased to even up to a bottle or even up to 2 bottles. It was getting out of control.
And did that increase in the amount of red wine you were drinking happen over the course of days or weeks or months? Like the lockdown was March 2020. You're all of a sudden working from home. You're having your happy hours now. Instead of a Friday with colleagues at work, you're having it at home. It's a happy hour for one, Janine. And you're increasing the drinking. Did that happen over weeks, days, months? How long?
I would say it was progressive. And I would say probably by December of 2020, it was already a weekly thing. And it was now increasing to maybe a little bit day drinking.
So when you were saying it was a weekly thing, what do you mean by that? Do you mean a daily thing?
Every day.
So it was a daily thing. Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Got it.
Yes.
Okay, so you increased it to a daily bottle of red wine.
Yes.
Okay, and why do you think you did that? Do you think it was isolation, loneliness? Was it not being distracted by work? What do you think it was?
I at the time I didn't know, James. I just, but I couldn't stop. Boredom. I have no idea. I just, I would on a Monday, every Monday, I had a resolution. This is it. I'm done. And then Tuesday was back to the same pattern. I didn't realize why I've never lost control over anything in my life before. I never had any other habits. I never smoked. I never had any other habits. So I didn't really understand what was going on. I just knew I lost control.
You lost control. That must have felt scary for you.
It was. And also I had also been drinking in the past because I had been grieving the loss of my mother's death. But that had progressed. She passed 4 years ago, and it was never a weekly drinking. I was, drinking on the weekends. But when COVID came, I realized that had increased even more. Day drinking. And it wasn't until I got into the program that I gave it a life cycle. I was never really in touch with my feelings. I never really discussed this with anyone. And in the program, I realized, or I learned what I think I gave it a life cycle, and I realized what it was that I was drinking. I was depressed. My relationship with alcohol was because I was still grieving the loss of my mother. I never gave it a proper, I never allowed myself to grieve. And then I wasn't moving forward with my life. It was now a bad habit.
Got it. So COVID and the lockdown and being at home gave you an opportunity to finally grieve the passing of your mother. However, your processing of that involved a nightly bottle of wine for some time. So that, while it was great that at least I perceive it to be a great opportunity for you to finally grieve and to connect with that pain of your mother's death, it seems like maybe you were numbing yourself with...
And self-medicating, correct.
Do you feel like you were able to finally process the grief?
I was. I was. It was humbling, I think, because I didn't want to admit that that's what was happening, I believe. Before her passing, I was also her caregiver for about 16 years. And so I just lived a life of, I put my life on halt. It was caring for her death, for her sickness, dealing with a bunch of other things around with family. So I never took care of myself. And I was always moving forward with caring for others, not just her, but other family members. So I never gave myself an opportunity to deal with those feelings. And I think being home for that period of time, I think it gave me an opportunity to do it, but the wrong way.
Yeah. So what was the impact from the nightly bottle of red wine? And by the way, just before you answer that, in actual fact, red wine and beer have the most toxins in them out of any alcohol. So when you're drinking a bottle of red wine every night, you are literally pouring toxins down your throat, which shows up as, in some people, or it can show up in some people, as depression, sadness, irritation, poor sleep, weight gain, poor skin, poor hair quality. Red wine and beer are equally bad, top of the list. So you couldn't have chosen a worse drink to consume during that time in terms of the physical and mental impact that it has on your body. Are you aware of that now?
I am aware of that now, yes. And it was brought to my attention by a family member. Actually, they noticed the change in that year. They suggested you should go see someone. I think you're depressed. They noticed the emotional change. They noticed the physical change. I myself noticed the aging myself. I saw myself aged in that year drastically. My hair was falling off. I saw the physical changes. I was actually about 2 weeks before I joined the program, I had a dream where it was so vivid. I really saw myself roaming the streets, thinking that I had lost everything because I could not take control over this, and that I lost my home, I lost all my savings, I've lost everything. And it was so real to me, James, that it was one of the wake-up calls one of the few that got me to, you have to do something quick.
Got it. And do you remember that moment where you were, I've got to do something quick? Was it a moment, or was it a phase? Was it a week? Was it something that you built up to? And how did you come to join Project 90 and take action?
It was about 2 weeks of crying because I knew I had reached I really wasn't enjoying the alcohol anymore, James. It wasn't doing anything but putting me in a stress and anxiety. I wasn't enjoying it anymore. It wasn't tasting good. I was waking up with headaches, although I was performing very well at work. I was doing my job. And one Sunday evening, when I had enough, I just in that state of depression and anxiety, I placed a call. I said this was it, and that's when I made my decision. And I was determined to go through with the program. And I got the call from the onboard Jim Miller, and I was determined, and that's what I wanted to do. And I joined in the next day. I got on the call and immediately started putting into place all the tools that I was learning from all the coaches and all the calls.
I'll ask you about some of those things that you learned in just a second, but do you recall how you first came across me or alcohol-free lifestyle or anything to do with what we do?
Yes, I was Googling last summer. I was Googling books and resources about becoming alcohol-free because I didn't really think I was an alcoholic, James. I started drinking late in life, in my 30s. And so, and I came across this podcast, and I listened to one, but I read another book, and it didn't really do anything for me. And then I kept coming across your podcast. That's how I came across your name. And I listened to like 3 or 4 months worth of them. And I think it was alcohol-free, how to become alcohol-free. And it was your name kept coming up all the time. And it was an invitation. I would get invitations. If you would like to, join us or hear about how you can, there was a bunch of resources, but I had read them all. But if you want to hear more, DM me with alcohol-free and we'll call you back. And that's what I did that last weekend. I remember it clearly. July 27, I think, or 26.
Yeah, and then we called you and you spoke to one of our coaches, Jim Miller, and then you made the choice to enroll with us in Project 90. And so what happened then, and what was your experience like, and what were the tools that you learned?
Yes, so I immediately I joined. I didn't think twice about investing in myself. I felt it was worth it. Anybody would have thought I was crazy by just, providing a credit card to a stranger. But I had a gut feeling that this was going to work for me. And I think there was a call the next day. It was a Tuesday. there was a call the next day. I joined in, and the first person that I saw on the call was a gentleman, which actually just recently graduated, one of the stellar individuals. And he welcomed me on the call and said, "This is where you belong. You'll find the tools here." And then about 6 or 7 people joined in right afterwards. I was really nervous. I cried on my first call. On the breakout room, there was another woman that she's on the Beyond 90 now, and she just listened to me. All I did was cry. And then I felt more comfortable. And then on the next call, we just went in and started digging in on all the exercises that all the coaches presented towards us. I immediately got on the polos. It was very nerve-wracking, but I joined in on all the polos. So, one of the things that helped me to understand or get my brain and help me with all the cravings immediately was one of the members was speaking about the ethanol in the alcohol, especially red wine. And he did research on his own on that call early on, and it clicked on me immediately. And so I was having a hard time with the cravings. So what I did was I went to my garage and poured gas that I had for my lawnmower and put it on my favorite wine glass. And I just smelled it for like 3 days. So I could just it would just click in my head that it was poison. That's what I needed to do. And that was the key to get the cravings away from me. It worked. That was what got me to stop the cravings. And I just took off from there. Literally, it stunk up the house, but I saw it for what it was, poison. And the glass for what it was, a glass, because I was socializing and I was having a hard time when I was seeing people, drinking their wine. And I just was still having a hard time. And that was the key for me that allowed me for what it was. And I no longer have those cravings or a desire to drink the wine.
Just to be clear, what did you pour in the glass wine?
Gas from my lawnmower. I have gas.
Lawnmower gas. Yeah, I love it. That's a wonderful, wonderful trick. I love that. So you poured lawnmower gasoline into a wine glass and you left it on your living room table or on your kitchen table, and that was the visual representation of it being poison, and that was enough for you to...
And I would smell it. So I would smell poison, of course, it would, and it just, I had no desire for it. It clicked to me. It clicked. And that was what did the trick.
So good. I love it. Congratulations. What were some of the benefits that you got from the ongoing coaching and support? So you mentioned before we hit record here, some of the benefits included focus and headaches disappeared and skin and hair. Do you want to just tell us a little bit about what were some of the noticeable benefits you got?
Yes. So I have clarity every morning. I'm an early person. I wake up and I'm working at the crack of dawn, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the morning. I was having a hard time in those couple of years. I just wasn't clear-headed. It just took me a while, but now I'm just, and so we have a lot of work now, but I'm now working up probably at 8 out of 10 now. And I've been covering for a couple of individuals. So I've been able to produce work, but we're clear head. I'm focused. Again, physically, I've been reaping all the benefits. I've been working out 4 or 5 times a week. The hair, the growth, I can see the growth. The skin is clear. Also health-wise, because of the drinking, I wasn't eating healthy. And so I acquired anemia over that time period. And so I know I had to get some blood work done. I was feeling a little tired. And so now that I was able to pinpoint that, I had to get a couple of iron infusions. So now I'm on track with that again. And now I'm eating healthier. I tend to be anemic, so I have to eat iron-rich foods. I wasn't eating them appropriately, so I damaged myself on that level. And so now I'm keeping myself on track where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah. And you're hiking and working out quite a lot as well, aren't you?
Yes.
I think you said you've got a hiking buddy, is that right?
Yes, I do. Yes, we go hiking every Saturday.
Where do you go hiking?
So there's a lot of trails here in Connecticut. I'm sure, I don't know if you had a chance to hike here in Connecticut, but there's, beautiful trails in Connecticut. So all over Connecticut we go.
And what did your friend say about you not drinking?
At first, I think she was missing out on that because we were both doing, we would go hiking and have a little, our little wine. Sometimes we'd even have the wine while we were hiking. Well, we took a break.
Wow.
And we'd go have dinner and have our wine. And I didn't discuss it with her that I was going to stop. So she was missing it. But now, again, I think it was a reflection on her, knowing I think she was looking at her own relationship with alcohol. And I think it was kind of a push for her also. And now she's lost 30 pounds also. It got her on a health kick, and she's doing very well. And she's good with it. Now we're on a pattern now. She realized that was holding her health goals, back also. I haven't really lost a lot of weight because my body's, it's challenging in that sense. My metabolism is very slow. So I have to work like twice as hard. I lost a lot of water weight, but I'm working on it. So I'm doing some weightlifting now. That's part of my new goals that I have, and some core training. So we're gonna get there.
And your skin and hair is much clearer and healthier by all accounts. Yes.
Even my hairdresser, I had an appointment like 2 days before I joined the program. And recently I had an appointment and she asked me if I had been taking vitamins because she noticed the 360. And I actually was honest with her about it. And it actually prompted a conversation about her own alcohol relationship. And she told me that she doesn't drink alcohol at all. And she's been having a hard time socializing because her friends pressure her to drink. And she doesn't drink because it doesn't sit well with her body, literally. She's a young person. And when she does drink, it makes her sick to her stomach. I mean, she's sick for about 2 days. It doesn't sit well. So we talked about alternatives, and she was very excited to hear that, there's this movement going on around the world. And so I encouraged her to seek alternatives to alcohol. But she was a little depressed that, she's been not socializing because of the pressure of her friends wanting her to drink.
Yeah, it's a common problem, isn't it? Because the social pressure is there. Cultural conditioning is real. It's been going on for decades, and it'll probably take decades more to eliminate it, but there is a movement happening, and you can see it and you can experience it. And, look at the impact that you've had on your hiking friend, because just by virtue of you being alcohol free, she's now taken steps and she's lost 30 pounds. And there are people around you who are noticing changes in you, and that will help inspire them to take positive actions, whether it's around alcohol or eating healthier or taking care of their mental health. So it's interesting, actually, because I was only recently made aware of the fact that it was only 20 years ago that we didn't really focus on wellness that much. I mean, wellness and mindfulness and that thing and those kind of topics have really only been a big thing in the last 20 years. Before then, the traditional ways of handling mental issues or physical issues was very much traditional Western medicine. Like, if you've got a problem, we'll try and fix it with some prescription drugs or rehab, etc. And then about 20 years ago, a whole lot of universities started doing some studies where they asked themselves, well, let's find out what actually makes human beings happy, or at least happier. So they started to focus on what are the actions that human beings take that make them happier, as opposed to let's focus on the actions that don't make them as sick or that can relieve them of their sadness or depression. And that was when things like mindful eating and meditation and gratitude and spending time with friends and the importance of community, where all of those studies started to give us results that those things were important. It's not that people weren't aware of them before 20 years ago. It's just we started to get data to prove or to show that living healthy, eating well, not drinking alcohol, or at least not a lot of it, socializing with friends, being out in nature, we started to see that those things really build the foundations of a very happy human being. And so still, though, there is that societal pressure and that cultural conditioning that tries to get us away from those things that all the studies show give us happiness. It's extraordinary, isn't it? Because alcohol is attractively packaged poison. It has been shown repeatedly to cause irritation, sadness. It compounds depression. And yet, at the same time, society's like, drink it. And they're doing it with a big smile on their face. It's like a massive contradiction, isn't it? It's like society saying, here, drink this attractively packaged poison with a big smile on their face, which will make you sad and depressed and irritated and help you put on weight and have your hair fall out and show up on your skin, and you won't look as good and you'll feel less worthy and you'll have a lack of confidence.
And I have to tell you, James, that, within the 90 days, I've had moments of stress, different kinds of stresses. And in my drinking days, of course, the first thing you do is grab a glass of wine. But one of the things that I learned in the program that I started practicing is earthing. And, I have a nice backyard here, and I would actually, during the day, just go out and walk. I have polos that I would do it, and I actually benefited from that. And I would do it in the morning, early in the morning with my cup of coffee, and I would do 10 minutes of earthing. I mean, I can't do it now. It's getting cold. I don't know what I'm going to do. How am I going to replace that? But I miss it. And I would actually practice it, and it would really de-stress me, just walking barefoot on the grass. It really works. Coach Sarah was one of the ones that she sent me the video, and I listened to the video on the benefits of earthing. And even the hiking, just being in touch with nature, that's true. And, spirituality, whatever that is for you. But I've, reconnected with my community again. I'm a woman of faith, and doing that also, those things have, if you're looking for things to de-stress, there's other things. And those things have been working for me. And, not a thought of having a glass of wine has crossed my mind to de-stress. Really, I don't ever want to be back in that space or dark room that I was for about 5-6 years.
Yeah, I don't want that for you either. Well, it sounds like you're heading in a really powerful, enriching direction. Does it feel that way for you, Janine?
It does, James. And I have plans already. I'm embarking on different things now. I've already made plans for ahead. I'm looking at retirement. I have about 10 more years at the university, but I'm looking maybe in the next 2 years, renovating my current home, a major renovation. So I'm making plans for that. As I was in this program, I embarked in a financial investment. I bought a rental house. I have the closing in a couple of days. So I'm going to have some extra income doing that. I'm going to be taking some classes in the spring for personal development because I'm focusing on, promotions at work in the next 10 years. So I'm reading. One of the members in the Project 90 encouraged me to do that. I never really read for enjoyment. I read for survival. I have to do a lot of reading, but I am pushing myself to read for enjoyment. I mean, even you, the last few daily guidances, they were all about reviews of all these books. So I made no annotations. I got to read all these books, They're on my list to read, So I have a lot of things to look forward to. It's time that I need more time. But yes, there is lots of things to look forward to. And my family, my nieces, I enjoy them a lot. I'm running around with them. They're in high school, middle school. They're in the school play. I don't have kids, but they are my kids. They are my kids. So I'm running around with them. I enjoy them a lot. I'm blessed that I have them near me.
Amazing. All those things sound pretty wonderful, Janine. Congratulations. I'm really excited for you and can't wait to continue watching your progress and your journey. And so I want to acknowledge you for the amazing contribution that you made to our Project 90 community. You not only allowed yourself to be coached, but you also coached others by sharing. I always saw you in our Marco Polo group.
And I have to thank you. Thank you very much. I have to tell you that you're doing wonderful things for this program. And also you and Coach Victoria, Coach Sarah, and all the balance that you bring into this program. The community is amazing, full of wonderful people from all walks of life, and they bring so much knowledge to everyone. And if it wasn't for them, I don't think people would get through this challenge and this program. So thank you for providing this. Truly, it was a lifesaver for me.
You're so welcome. Janine Martinez from New Haven, Connecticut. Congratulations again. And to you, the listener, thank you so much for being with us here, and we will catch you on the next one. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. I want to load you up with some free stuff. If you look in the show description, there's a link there to get my guide, which is the Alcohol Freedom Formula Guide. And in that guide, I will walk you through the process and system for successfully reducing or quitting alcohol. It's the same system and process that I give to my clients inside of Project 90. And if you would like to get your hands on that guide, you can click the link in the description part of this episode, or you can go to alcoholfreelifestyle.com/guide. Likewise, if you would like to be considered for Project 90 to join our community and get some accountability, some coaching, and have fun, achieve some goals over at least 90 days with our help and support, then you're invited to schedule a complimentary coaching call with one of my coaches. You can do that by clicking the link in the show description or going to alcoholfreelifestyle.com/schedule. Now, Project 90 is for over 30s only. And it's really for people who are ready to get long-term power over alcohol. You don't have to quit forever, but you will have to quit for at least 90 days with our support. Just a reminder, 95% of my content is free and plastered all over the internet. If you just Google James Swanwick and the word alcohol, you'll find that. For those of you who want additional support, if you want coaching, fun, accountability, if you realize that you can't do this on your own or you just plain don't want to, then I invite you to schedule that call and we can talk about if Project 90 is for you. If you would like to take some of my supplements, swanvitality.com is the website. I'll put a link in the show notes as well. I have a liver support product called Loving Liver, which I designed and specially formulated to help remove toxins from your liver after years of alcohol consumption. Again, there's a link in the show description. We've also got a green powder there, which turns into a green juice filled with amazing ingredients to support you and give you energy throughout the day. And there's also a magnesium product which I take every night to help me prepare for sleep and to sleep through the night. So there's a few options there. Lastly, if this episode or the show in general has helped you or supported you in any way, I would so appreciate it if you would write a review. It really does help the show climb the rankings and expose the show to people who don't yet know about us. So if this show has benefited you in any way and you feel compelled to pay it forward, just writing a short little review, hopefully a nice one, will be so appreciated, and I will thank you immensely. Lastly, if you'd like to talk to me about anything at all, feel free to send me an email at james@alcoholfreelifestyle.com. I do read and respond to every email. And you can also follow me on Instagram at @JamesSwanwick. Send me a message there. And I look forward to connecting with you soon. Catch you on the next one.